Good evening, everyone. This is Jeff with Astroscoop Deep Dive Astrology Coaching. And we're doing the live stream tonight. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time, New York time. Last couple of weeks has been 8 p.m. But my weekly live streams are always on Fridays, at least for now. Fridays either at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. So we'll wait. I see Carolyn's here. Happy Friday. Yes, definitely. And it is quite cold and quite dark out here in the East Coast. And well, not as cold as it was, but you know, we're in Capricorn time. It's full on winter. So we'll be talking about, excuse the messy poster. We'll be talking about the Capricorn period, true Capricorn period this week, tonight. Last week we talked about the Sagittarius Capricorn cusp, and now we're in full swing with winter. Today is the 27th of December 2024. So, like I said, we will wait a couple minutes. I want to mention, I mentioned last week and the week before that India is accounting for 54% of my views, and that continues to be the case. This is about 3 weeks straight. India is 54% of my views, and close to 90% of those views are male. So that's very interesting to me. So men from India I'm getting the most views from, and particularly young men in their 20s and 30s. So that's really interesting to me. And number two is Algeria, again, at 7%. There's a big gap there. So India is really driving my channel and the views right now, which is wonderful, and I'm very grateful. Algeria is 7%. And then we have Philippines again. Well, actually, Philippines was 4 last week. Now it's number 3. Philippines is the 3rd. The U.S. is the 4th most viewed state or country for country. And then Indonesia is 5. And which same place, and then Iraq is number 6, and that was followed last week by Egypt, Libya, Vietnam, Jordan, and a couple other tiny countries. So it's all over the map, which is wonderful. So I really appreciate any and all views and or subscribers. I'm closing in on 1,000 subscribers. We're not there yet. I think I have 54 or 55 subscribers to go. So hopefully within the next month or so, definitely this season, we will get there. But this is good because I wanted to be somewhere around between 800 and 1,000 subscribers by December. So we're ending the year. That's a good thing. But this is earlier, so let me just wait a couple minutes. And I know that some people pop in because they want to hear the transits. And I usually do the transits at the end with the celebrities, but I think I'll continue to do the transits in the beginning as well as at the end. So we'll do a little bit of both. But last week, I talked about the Capricorn-Sag cusp, where we had like a little bit of Sagittarius energy that was still there in the cosmic chart, the cosmic weather. Today, which we'll talk about later, today we're at 6 degrees of Capricorn. So we're out of the cusp period now, which would have gone like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 degrees. Now we're going 5 into 6. So we're into true Capricorn time now, which is December 26th to right around January 2nd or 3rd, depending on your year and your birth year and your time of birth. Now, I know that some, for Capricorn, some books and blogs have it going longer than that for the first period, have it even shorter, maybe around the 24th, and have it going to like the 3rd or 4th for Capricorn 1. But there's 30 degrees in a sign, and 3 decans would be 10. So basically, when you look at the degrees of most charts that you look up of Capricorns born today, tomorrow, they're going to be right around 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to around 9 or 10 degrees, which is the first decan. Because 0 to 10, a little of that is cusp, and then the majority of it is true Capricorn. But how was everyone's holiday? I hope everyone had I had a great week. It's exciting week, but also tiring in a lot of ways, just very tiring. And but it was a very good week. And people celebrate all sorts of different holidays around the world. There's all sorts of different religions and gods and goddesses and holidays. And maybe some people don't celebrate anything this week, or don't believe in anything, and that's okay too. But what's interesting is the Capricorn energy, to me, I feel it. It feels heavy to me. And of course, this is a time of year, well, especially in this hemisphere, when things go inner, things go underground. And that's what Capricorn's all about. So it's interesting that if Capricorn, I don't have Capricorn in my natal birth chart. I don't have any major planets, but I do have the part of fortune in Capricorn, which to me is an influence, but I wouldn't consider it a major influence in the chart. But a lot of astrologers like the part of fortune, and it comes from Fortuna, the goddess of luck. And my part of fortune in Capricorn has given me insight. I knew that a long, long time ago, but I just recently remembered that I have that. So it's interesting to me that I didn't think I had any Capricorn at all, but I have the part of fortune in Capricorn, which can be a point of luck in your chart, more so than Jupiter. It can be kind of ancient wisdom and ancient luck, and it can be a force you can tune into if you don't have the personal planets. So that's something that I'm tuning into. But it is heavy. And I know a lot of people, I have known a lot of people with Capricorn planets, but I haven't known a lot of Capricorn people born this week either, or last week. So I think of some Capricorns I've known in my life that we'll talk about, but I haven't known many born between December 26th and January 2nd or 3rd. Now, this is the true Capricorn decan, which means it's Saturn times 2. So it's all Saturn. It's Saturn ruled, and its sub-ruler is Saturn, or co-ruler. So it's all Saturn. Now, I didn't do any fixed stars. I didn't really have time today, but the fixed stars in the constellations have additional symbols and or other planetary influences as far as personality that ancient astronomers and astrologers ascribe to that, like Ptolemaic stars and things like that. But for the most part, most astrologers agree that Saturn, especially early Capricorn, is true 2-time double the Saturn. And the only way I can explain for someone that's not a Capricorn, I can't imagine what it must be like to have a lot of major Capricorn in your chart. I don't think I would necessarily like it, but that's not a bad thing. That's just me. It's a preference of energy. The Capricorn energy, as we're going to talk about, has a lot of really, really good stuff underneath. Good stuff, good raw stuff is Capricorn. And it takes a lot of digging and trust to find that with someone that has major Capricorn or earn it. To be honest, I think most people, if most people are dating someone or married to someone that has major Capricorn, and I'm talking about Sun, Moon, Venus, rising, or maybe even a stellium, if that person isn't willing to go the distance and really be patient and get to know that Capricorn strong person natal chart, there's no way it'll work. And I'll bet if you looked at natal charts of people that have dated or married a person with major Capricorn, that there would have to be very, very persistent, strong energies in the other chart, like Taurus, Scorpio, Pisces, maybe Cancer, really strong devotion and really strong persistence or patience to get to know someone. Because some that Capricorn is so hard to get to sometimes that it takes forever, and some people don't have forever. So that's Capricorn. That's the Saturn. So this is winter life inner. So if you think about all the creatures, the insects, the animals, the grass, the dirt, everything now has gotten cold for the most part, at least very much so in the Northeast. But even in other areas of the country where it still might be 60 degrees and it's not really feels like winter, there's still a change of creatures going inner. And Saturn in Capricorn is representing the last triad of the zodiac. It's the last quadrant or triad, the last 4 signs, last 3 signs, and it's wrapping up the zodiac cycle in a very mature way in terms of the cosmic cycle of life with the 12 signs. So winter life inner. So that is probably why any major person, especially people Capricorn's born this week that have major Capricorn, and definitely more than one planet, depending on what their Saturn's in, you'd have to look at their Saturn sign, but they will definitely reveal very slowly. And that can give the indication of being cold, aloof, and reserved. So those are signs that Capricorn's gotten beaten up, so to speak, in books and blogs of being cold, calculating, reserved, aloof, like these very, not warm, miserly, very, very negative, strong words. Now, Capricorn, any major Saturn in the chart has the potential to withhold and withdraw or punish. It depends on how you use it. But it goes back to what I really said. If we look at the transits right now, so 2 weeks ago when we were in Sagittarius, our cosmic ruler was Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. So we were dealing with Sag energy ruled by Jupiter and Gemini. It's a lot of mutability and a lot of yang, not so much inner. Now we have Sun in Capricorn, true Capricorn energy, ruled by Saturn in Pisces, which is now direct and moving forward. And Saturn in Pisces is inner. Pisces is inner and reserved and shy, even melancholy. And that's something that Capricorn and Pisces, the sextile, which in 8 days, the Sun, Saturn will have a perfect sextile, cosmic sextile, which happens obviously because Saturn's in Pisces. When that Saturn goes into Aries in the future, not too long from now, next year, that Sun will square Saturn because it will square Aries. But Capricorn and Pisces share a melancholic sort of disposition, melancholy. And again, it depends on the other person's temperament and patience to deal with that. But when you look at all this cosmic energy, we have Mars retrograde in Leo. That's really slowing things down. And I felt a decrease in energy. This Mars is happening in my 8th house, transiting. So it's transiting in my natal 8th house of hidden mysteries or secrets, hidden energy, other people's resources. So right now, my feeling is to go inner. Have more alone time, maybe sleep more. That's what I'm feeling. And that's not so much physical. I'm feeling that energy, that sort of that cosmic energy. So wherever Mars is retrograde in whatever house it is in your chart, not only is it slowing down the Leo energy there to show off or express, but it's halting the brakes on everything in that house because it's retrograde. And then, of course, Jupiter is still retrograde, Uranus in Taurus, the node in Aries, which the node has been in Aries so long. So this has been tough for Aries people, and people particularly with early Aries degrees, especially the spring Aries that start spring, those people born in late March, because the node has been right on their sun. So that's been a lot of karma, I think, a lot of node energy to work out. And then this Pluto in Aquarius, which we've been talking about each week, it's hardly moved. It's at 0.56. It will conjunct the Sun in Aquarius next month. It's the sign right next to Capricorn. It's not necessarily good or bad, but Venus is in Aquarius. So by sign, we have Venus and Pluto in Aquarius, which could make love relationships a little explosive and maybe wanting people to break free from things that are stifling. But that Venus is going to move quick, and it's going to be in Pisces soon as well. And then we have the part of fortune in Virgo, and there's not too much more. I mean, we have the moon is in Sag tonight. It just went into Sag, and Mercury is now direct in Sagittarius still. So that sort of thing. But you want to think about that. You want to always think about, I hear astrologers talking about Capricorn, but sometimes I hear them never mention Saturn. And I'm talking about astrologers that have way more subscribers and views than I have. I'm like nothing compared to them. So that makes me wonder, how much do people value the deep dive aspect of it? Because you can't have Capricorn without Saturn, and you can have Saturn without Capricorn. So we're looking at Capricorn from a horoscope or a zodiac mythology, the goat, but you have to consider that this is a Saturn winter inner reserved period of life, of cosmic life, of creatures, and the game of life. Now, I know the other end of the hemisphere, they're starting summer, so that's interesting. If they subscribe to that, it's Capricorn there, but they have summer weather and it's warmer. Do they still feel that more inner Capricorn heavy energy? I wonder. And the Capricorn energy, especially this true Capricorn energy, is not all. It's not, it's not bad or negative. The thing with Capricorn is, if anything of value in life takes work, right? Relationships, a good job, friendships, good relationships with your children, raising animals and bonding with animals. It takes a lot of affection, it takes a lot of repetition. It takes a long time to build that. And talk to anyone with Capricorn that has gotten over obstacles that they never thought they'd get over, that they thought they were going to die or just shut down. But talk to them, because especially older people with Capricorn, you'll be amazed at what they've hurdled, the obstacles that they've gotten over, and that's inspiring. Sometimes you just have to hang in there, and that's what Saturn would tell you. That's what a Capricorn planet, especially a double Saturn planet, would tell you, is you just got to hang in there. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to come fast. But we take the aspirations that we had for the last month, which was Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, shooting for the stars, was all about aspirations. And Sag is and can be serious and also a heavy sign. But the aspirations and ambition in Sag is fiery, and it's more spiritual, but it's also geared to their projects of where their enthusiasm lies in their self. In Capricorn takes all of that Sag energy, those ideals, that zest for life, and churns it into ambition like a pot. Starts, melting a stew of ambition. And like I said, I have not known many Capricorns born this week. I wish I have. I had one friend in high school who was born January 1st, and he was a very ambitious teenager. Very, very ambitious with his grades and what he wanted to do. And I think he became an engineer. I'm pretty sure he did. I lost touch with him after college, but I think he became an engineer. He was a very serious kid, very serious for 16 or wherever we were, that lived in the neighborhood. He was very, very serious. He used to help his mom cook. He could cook just as good as his mom at like 16. So he took on responsibilities and things like that. That's very Capricornian. He also had a wicked sense of humor, though, once he felt comfortable with people. But it didn't come out often. Most of the time, he was kind of a serious teenager. But the ambition is there. Like, Capricorns can fool you. You can underestimate Capricorn very easily. Because Capricorn isn't... Capricorn is you know, it's not wild like Sag. It's not loud like maybe like an Aries or Leo. It's not eccentric like an Aquarius or Gemini. They're not, you know, they're not looking for flattery and superficial fun like Libra, and they're not super needy like Pisces. They're not super needy like Cancer. They're not really that emotional like Scorpio. So what is Capricorn, right? If there's none of those signs, Capricorn is this quiet, dry, you know, creature. That's the way I see Capricorn. It's like this quiet energy that's just there. There's a presence, and it's always moving. It's always producing or doing lists or doing tasks or planning the next stage, whatever it is, a hobby, you know, something on their computer, their interest. Capricorn is not. They're not. They're not static. Capricorn doesn't slow to the point of where like a Taurus might, where a Taurus planet might really slow down and have inertia for a time period and then kick back into gear. With Capricorn, they're biding their time and they're waiting for the right time for things. But it can seem like that they're lazy or quiet or uninspired. They don't show readily that enthusiasm. They don't jump on people's ideas or excitement, or they don't thrive on emotion. That's Saturn. Now, that doesn't mean that Capricorn people don't feel or aren't warm-blooded, sensual people underneath. They are, for the most part. But a lot of times you don't see it. You just don't see it. And when I've looked at the amount of people that I know with Capricorn planets, so I'm going off more so the Capricorn planets like the Moon, the Venus, the Mars, more so than the Sun. But that Capricorn, that Saturn aspect, that Saturn planet will always, it'll make that planet just a little drier. Carolyn says, Moon and Venus in Capricorn, I always have a project. See? Exactly. And that is just Capricorn. And what's the real upside to that is Capricorn being in the last 3 signs. After Capricorn, we're going to have Aquarius and Pisces, and then we end the zodiac. There's a finalization of energy. Capricorn loves to take everyone else's mistakes and correct them and make things efficient. So there's probably no other sign but Capricorn that could run a business or be a supervisor. So a positive, secure Capricorn will take a mess and they will just make things very efficient, especially this week. This week is kind of a mastery of things, a mastery of life. And it's not necessarily a master in terms of everyone else's criteria. It's kind of it's their own sense of their own ambition. And, you know, it's just their own ambition. They could say, hey, I want to do 100 YouTube videos in a certain amount of time and have hardly any views. But if they did that, if they accomplished it on their terms, that would be very satisfying to a Capricorn. It'd be very, very satisfying. When Capricorn thinks about the end result of a goal being met, checking that off a to-do list, I think that's an aphrodisiac for Capricorn. I think that's a turn on. Like, oh my God, look at all these things on my list. That's it. That's Saturn. And this equates to someone in the zodiac cycle of life. It equates to someone that's like around 65 years of age with And this goes with cycles of Saturn, which are 28 years. So we're in Saturn at Pisces at 14 right now. We have a whole nother half life of Saturn in Pisces to go. But it's going to move, and sometimes it goes into the next sign and then it retrogrades, right? It goes into the next sign at 0 or 1, and then it retrogrades for a long while in the previous sign. So it goes, and it comes back for its final hit. So anyone that has a natal Saturn in Pisces, which I've been talking about for months, you're going through your Saturn return, or your second Saturn return if you're closing in on 60. If you're almost 60 or you are 60, those 64, 65, 66 people are feeling it. Their lives are changing. What's my next step with work? Am I going to retire early? What's my next step with a hobby or interest? Are my kids still living at home? Like those kinds of changes that someone around 60 or early 60s would be thinking of. And someone around 65 would be either starting retirement, at least probably be semi-retired, and or looking at the last, 20 to 25 years of their life, hopefully. So Capricorn is all about cycles. There's no other sign in the zodiac. We all have cycles of energy, right? All the signs have certain mental energy, physical energy. But Capricorn people can either really, really be in touch with that for pace in life, or they could be out of touch with it. And they could be way too, they could suffer those kind of melancholy self-pity moments where they get stuck because they know how serious they are. Capricorns know they're really good at spotting that a lot of other people don't take things as seriously as they do. So something that's really, really serious and important to them inside, they're looking around the room and saying, oh my God, how can these people take things so lightly? That would be my guess. That's the inner Capricorn voice. It doesn't mean Capricorns don't have fun. No, Capricorns can have serious fun when they believe in something and they can feel safe and secure. They can go all in with the ambition with fun as well. So Saturn cycles, which starts with your Saturn return around 28, very important for a Capricorn person to look at the Saturn in their chart and then really, really look at Saturn hits throughout their life, or Uranus to Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Saturn, and then of course your Saturn return, if you get a Saturn return in your lifetime, to your sun. But Saturn is so important. I know I just keep saying it. It's the sea goat or the goat, and it's climb and it's master. So a Capricorn planet, especially Sun in Capricorn, wants to master anything they do for the most part. It's definitely in the top 2 or 3 of signs of mastery. Now, it doesn't mean that every Capricorn is a perfectionist or everything has to be to the letter. Capricorns have different levels of what they think is correct and right. So that's another word, correct. Capricorns love to correct everything. And it's different than Virgo. Virgos spot flaws, and Virgos like to correct as well. But Virgos are analyzing things in the environment to kind of improve in kind of an observational way. Capricorn's not looking, they're not just observing it. They're saying, this whole thing needs to change. Hey, if I'm running this group or I'm supervising now, this whole thing has to change to preferably my way. So Capricorns love their way. If they can get their way and do their own thing in a very quiet way, a lot different than like Leo or Aries or Aquarius, a lot different, but it's there. So the sea goat climbing and mastering, always working on something. That's why Capricorn can appear cold and aloof and reserved to others. Now, are some people with Capricorn a little cold? Yeah. I mean, I've met people that have a lot strong Capricorn in their chart, and they can be a little serious, maybe a little cold, not the warmest people in the world, or maybe don't know how to express it. So maybe they are warm deep down inside, but they haven't found a way to express it. Or they're not going to express it because they don't trust you. So if you haven't earned it, they don't trust you, it might take 5 years, and you don't have that kind of time for that friendship kind of thing. And, sort of thing. But the first decan, you know, there's no other influence but Saturn. So you would want to look at the transiting Saturn, what's happening with Capricorn people right now, which is in Pisces, and look into your natal Saturn. So ruling things is important to Capricorns born this week. They want to rule something, whether it's their family, a business, a project. They have to. It's essential to their psychology. I don't think they can't. A true Capricorn cannot take a backseat to their life. It doesn't matter how slow, quiet, or plotting they are. Maybe most people aren't even noticing their goals or their achievements. But to them, they know, wow, look at these 37 things. Look at these things I've achieved. Look at this degree I got. Look at this certification. Look at what I did on YouTube. You know, this kind of thing. And I would bet there's a lot of long-term YouTubers that have stuck this game out for 7 years, 10 years, 12 years. I look at channels that have grown, you know, from 500 subscribers and now they're at 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. I think to myself, my gosh, the persistence. I would love to know how many of them have major Capricorn in their chart, because you know as an astrologer that would be a factor. They would have strong Saturn and they'd probably have major Capricorn, especially Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Capricorn, Mars, Capricorn for the energy, and maybe rising. But efficiency for groups. So that's what I was talking about, the correcting things. You know, Capricorn is structure. We talked about, astrologers have been talking about Pluto and Capricorn for years, changing the structure and hierarchies of governments, money systems, all kinds of things in all the countries. And now we're in Pluto and Aquarius, so that structure is more humane, it's more humanity-based, and it's more open. But Capricorn is organizational, you know, either literally or metaphorically. They're literally organizing things by touching things and moving things around, or they're organizing, you know, teams. And the interesting thing about Capricorn people that I've noticed when I've observed them, or even some celebrities that I've read about, is that Capricorns usually are very rational and serious and logical. They like to believe in things that are tried and true, and they like to stick to kind of what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Capricorn planets will surprise you. Sometimes they'll be into very metaphysical or spiritual stuff you would not have guessed. And you probably wouldn't have guessed it because, again, if you're not close to that person, they haven't expressed it to you. They don't feel, they're not going to tell all that deep, heavy stuff to just anybody. I can't talk, a lot of the stuff I'm into, I can't just talk to anybody about it. Some people look at you like, you know, like you have three heads. So, you know, when you're into deep stuff, I wouldn't consider Capricorn offbeat, but Capricorns can surprise you, and they can rise above the physical and be into very, very serious, profound things like metaphysics and, you know, deep science and things like that. That's very much up Capricorn's alley. But by meeting a Capricorn planet or knowing them superficially, you would never guess that. That would be my my take there. So the efficiency for groups can turn into a workaholic. So every astrologer I've ever watched a video of always mentions in some word or a synonym of workaholic for Capricorn. And it's really, I don't know if that's a fair assessment. I think it's not necessarily, you know, what is workaholic? Like, what I think a workaholic is different than you. To me, a workaholic is you work so much that it damages your marriage or spouse relationship, your mating partner. It damages very good friendships. You don't spend time with your children or grandchildren, and you don't do self-care. You don't have any time to take care of yourself. So if that's the definition of workaholism, there are Capricorn planets, especially moons and Mars, that will just go constantly. And then if things fall around, they'll achieve they'll be masterful in one area, but they will miss out in other areas by being so persistent about achieving certain things. So it really depends on what your version of workaholic is. But Capricorns do have that tendency. They have a tendency to work more than 40 hours a week, and then something else in their life may suffer. But if a Capricorn is a single person and they want to work more than 40 hours a week, or they have multiple businesses, they're entrepreneur, and they like working 6 days a week, they love it, they enjoy it. Maybe to them, that's not workaholism, because they're taking care of themselves and they're working hard. So it's a balance for them. So again, it really depends on their mental health. And Capricorns take things so seriously and want that responsibility that they can really become bottled up. So Capricorn's one of those signs. Again, Capricorns are hard to read, at least in my opinion. I think they're hard to read. And unless you have a Capricorn sun that has a yang, an air or a fire Saturn planet, or it's in the Capricorn sun is in a fire or air house, or the rising, something with the rising in Saturn, is Saturn trying the ascendant, and maybe the ascendant is a different, different element like water, like any different element, water, fire, the expression. That's not easy for Capricorn, the expression. And Capricorn expresses in these kind of traditional, quiet, salt of the earth ways. So I mentioned at the beginning that Capricorn has a lot of good stuff, and Capricorn does. Capricorn, the positive Capricorn planet is incredibly reliable and will hang in there with you. Now that is worth its weight in gold in this kind of superficial society that we kind of live in, where people are, so easily distracted with new and shiny objects and toys and things. So Capricorn people can be incredibly, dependable and reliable. To some people that's stodgy and boring, but to others it's like, wow, that Capricorn planet's going to be around even when I'm not having my best day, or I'm short with them or rude with them. They're patient enough to get over that and to bide their time with that, right? So if Capricorn can handle that, because of the strength. Capricorn's very strong underneath. Again, winter time, winter life, inner times. All the earth signs have that strength inside, way down deep inside. The water signs do too, but earth particularly, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn particularly have that reserve of this strong. And it's not just physical, it's just reserves of basic raw kind of energy to kind of get through things. I did a poll a couple months ago. I've done a couple polls on Mars, and also I asked my followers, what element do you think is the hardest to be without in a chart? Earth, air, fire, or water? And I didn't get too many responses, but no one picked Earth. And so when you do a natal chart, astrology does a horoscope or natal chart, sometimes you see charts with an element missing. So there'll be no air, no earth, no water, no fire. And we will get to that point at some point this year when the cosmic chart will be really low on one of the elements. But for a chart to not have any earth at all, I think, in my opinion, I think that's the most toughest. I know a couple people with no earth in their chart, no earth planets, as far as I know, no earth rising. They could have earth houses, and that will balance things out to some extent. And we could talk about the houses on a different time. But when you have Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo in the chart, it really is in this tough, mundane world that's kind of slow and sometimes boring and mundane, and the world can drag you down with just daily stuff the daily grind of all these little things we have to do, taking care of everything. Life can get boring and it can get really staid. But the earth signs, the earth energy is what really hangs in there and gets us through it. So I think if you have Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo in your chart, planets and or rising, although the earth can get you stuck, it helps people really hang in there. So I think it's, and especially like I mentioned, I don't have any major Capricorn. So I think the upside, someone with major Capricorn that says, hey, Jeff, some of this stuff sounds a little negative, but I'm a person with Capricorn and I love it because look at what I've been able to do in my life and look what I've been able to achieve. And absolutely, it's all preference of energy. You know, what's heavy to one person is not heavy to another. And when you look at celebrities, when I was researching celebrities, something really struck me. When I listen to Capricorn music or I watch Capricorn actors or actresses, they are very substantial people. And by that, what I mean is whatever they're doing is not lightweight. And if they're not all the best actors or actresses, but whatever they're doing, you can kind of tell they're putting their all into it pretty much. They're putting pretty much 100% into it. They're not halfway, and they're not flaky about it. It's not a flakiness. So Capricorn, if they want to be silly, like Jim Carrey, really intensely, seriously silly. If you want to do action movies where it's almost laughable, like Nicolas Cage, some people laugh him off. Nicolas Cage, how is he an action star? But he's been doing it, Capricorn. But so serious about it, right? Takes it so seriously. Carl Weathers, the late actor from Rocky, who played Apollo in the Rocky series. Holy cow, what a serious, charismatic character. And he was a good actor, a great actor. But what if he wasn't? What if he wasn't a good actor and he kind of looked foolish doing that? But he believed it 100% what he was doing. So that's what I mean about Capricorn. And when you listen to Capricorn music, there's a majestic, ambitious quality to the music, even if the music isn't good, or at least to my ears. That's Capricorn. That's Capricorn. That's Saturn. There's just this. They can go all the way with it. It's like Capricorn and Scorpio might be vying in the chart in the zodiac for like going all in on something, and they do it in different ways. But that's Capricorn, and that's how Capricorn stands out as different than all the other signs, but also different from Taurus and Virgo. While it shares earthy traits, there's no other sign like Capricorn that has that efficiency and that need. Capricorns also have a need to prove themselves. There's a need for achievement, admiration, and pat on the back or good job. Capricorns need that. Most Capricorn people that have strong Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars will be working, I guarantee it will be working into their 70s and 80s. Not because even that they need to, some maybe some financially, but because they want to. I talked to a woman the other day, an older woman. She said she had a friend who was 80. He was still working. And she said, why are you still working? Wouldn't you like to be doing other stuff? And he said, no. He said, I love to work. And I don't know his chart. I have no idea if he's a Capricorn or not, but that would be my guess. And so when you think about that Capricorn energy, no matter where it is in the chart, it can be, the Capricorn energy can let loose and have fun and really enjoy life. But all those other criteria have to be met, especially if with a Venus or a Mars in Capricorn. It just has to be met. So I feel like there's conditions. Capricorn has conditions with him or herself, not necessarily with you. Does that make sense, Capricorn? You have conditions with yourself and standards. And if those aren't met, then obviously it's going to be harder for you to express the more flexible, buoyant, and positive, warmer aspects of that planet. But again, the Capricorn planet, you have to look at Saturn and you have to look at the house too. If a Capricorn planet's in the 5th house, which is Leo, the house of performance, that's going to take on a different flavor for that person. Yeah, they're going to be serious, but it's going to be brought about in a Leonine way. It'll be come across in a 5th house way. So that's a very interesting thing. But for celebrities, we have Jude Law. He's a Capricorn celebrity. He's been in a lot of movies, dramatic movies, mostly thriller. He's kind of hit and miss with me with his movies, but I think he's got a good seriousness to him, and he has a kind of a classic earthy attractiveness, I think, that works well. John Denver, the classic folk, the past folk musician and singer who had a lot of melancholy, a lot of sadness, but he also had a lot of salt of the earth qualities in his music and his songwriting. And he had quite a troubled life, and I think he died as a pilot. Just definitely had a very very troubled life with the Saturn there. And that's another thing. Saturn doesn't allow, it's almost like Saturn doesn't allow you to have fun until you've cleaned up. And I've noticed this with people with 10th house. So 10th house planets act very similarly. It's almost like, it's not that they can't have fun, but it's almost like there's no fun until you clean up. So clean up your room, do your homework, cross your T's and dot your I's, and then you can have fun. So the reward. So good habits and productive habits, that's huge for Capricorn. David Sedaris, writer and comedian, is the brother of Amy Sedaris. He's very kind of dry and sarcastic, and he talks about things in a very sardonic way, but it's very Capricorn to me. It's very kind of wry and serious. So it's not really light. And he'll talk about things in his family, bad things that have happened in his family, or darker things in a certain way that's very Capricorn. Anthony Hopkins, probably one of the best character actors of all time, from Silence of the Lambs and numerous movies, cable movies. Anthony's, just commanding. And that's another thing. Capricorn commands well, right? Especially Mars in Capricorn. So it's not necessarily commanding the room per se, but that energy, whatever they put into it, if they're safe, secure, and they're interested in something, that they're in it. They are in it. They're in it to win it. Like they're not doing it loosey goosey, and if they're an athlete or they do a craft or arts that's more fun oriented or more entertainment, they'll also, they may be able to have more fun with it because the expression is fun, but behind the scenes, they would most likely be all business about it. Gabrielle Carteris, she was on Beverly Hills 90210. She has kind of a goat look to me, but she's also very smiley. She smiles a lot for our Capricorn, so it probably has something to do with her rising sign. Val Kilmer, who was in the original Top Gun, and he was a big 80s and 90s actor. Poor Val had a lot of health problems. Another guy that definitely was commanding and had a great face for movies. Again, very smiley, but I would imagine much more serious behind the scenes than what you saw in the movies. Paula Poundstone, comedian, very sarcastic, kind of heavy material, and it's very kind of down to earth, kind of raw, everyday kind of humor. That's very typical with Earth sign comedians, and especially with like male Virgo comedians or Taurus male. It's very like raw and everyday stuff, down to earth, kind of simple stuff. Timothée Chalamet, he's kind of one of the it actors right now. He was Willy Wonka in the remake, and he was also in Dune. He's going to be in a lot of movies coming up, and he's great. He seems extremely talented, and he seems very ambitious. To be able to do that Willy Wonka role, the newer version of it, that seemed quite daunting. But he did a good job with that, and he seems to be really climbing. Jeff Lynne, as a more obscure Capricorn born this week, he's the leader and co-founder of the group ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, from the 70s and 80s. And their music is very, very, it's out there, but it's very ambitious. It's incredibly ambitious. And there are so many Capricorn musicians and composers that I don't have on this list, or at least this week, that their music, it's just like they do these like really, really long songs, like there might be 7, 8, 10-minute songs. And that's so Capricorn to me, because it's like they're fleshing out their projects. They're that thorough. So ELO, Donna Summer, obviously a very influential disco R&B singer in the 70s and 80s, and very earthy, very sensual, sensual and sensuous music and lyrics. And you know, that's another thing with Capricorn. You know, you can't count Capricorn out again as being cold or withholding. The Capricorn planet sure can be. They don't have any problem withholding or not giving. They can easily just shut down and, you know, put the gates down and go under the surface. You know, like a groundhog. That Capricorn can do that, no problem. But they might be biding their time, or they might be waiting to feel for things to feel on solid ground. So they want that. They want it to be solid. And then Terry Bozzio, he's the last one I have on this list. Terry is from the group Missing Persons, a new wave group from the 80s. But more so, Terry is an accomplished classical drummer who worked with Frank Zappa. I mentioned all these interesting over the months. I mentioned all these musicians, session people that worked with Frank Zappa, not because I think Frank Zappa was the best or anything, but Frank Zappa was an epic kind of prolific person, you know, much like Michael Jackson and Prince and David Bowie, and Bob Dylan and Neil Young and the Beatles, and you know, all these groups and people that they're have this prodigious output of you know, of music and songwriting. And Terry Bozzio is a lesser known famous drummer, but he's up there with some of the best. And you know, if you look at like older videos of like Buddy Rich and some of those other older drummers, or even Karen Carpenter from the Carpenters, I think from the 60s she started drumming, you know, almost like that old jazz style. But Terry's is really similar to that, and he doesn't get enough accolades. Really interesting. So that's all the celebs I have. I had more, but they were more obscure and really like from the 1800s. So I didn't really want to get into that. My daughter did Capricorn here. This isn't really the goat. She actually copied, I think she was looking at the Taurus glyph, which we'll be talking about in late April. That's okay. But she still did this, and she wrote December 21st. She wrote 21st to January 19th or the 20th. So if you know anybody born this month, from the 22nd of January, December to January 19th or 20th, they would be Capricorn. Now I've known, when we get to the Capricorn Aquarius cusp period, I've known more people that are Capricorn born on that cusp than I have these weeks. So I'll have a little more interesting information about Capricorn there. And then of course here is the Capricorn. There's the goat that my daughter drew last week, which is really, really interesting. But I appreciate you. I know there's been 2 or 3 people that have been coming in and out, and I appreciate you hanging in with me for the full hour. I really, really appreciate it. Please tell your family and friends. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And you know, the subscriber base it's moving so slow, but it is growing. You know, some weeks I don't get any subscribers. Some weeks I get 1, 2, or 3 or 4. Another week I get none. So it's just, you know, it's growing. But again, please sign in, or tell your family or friends, sign into YouTube. You got to sign in with your account, YouTube or Google account, so that you can go to Astroscoop and click personalized or all, and you'll get notifications for all my videos or personalized based on what you're watching. And I know my cusp videos are doing well right now, especially the older ones. And people want to hear more about cusp stuff. So I'm going to probably be doing more cusp-oriented, like compatibility, and definitely going to be doing more deep dive transit, the transit talks, because I'm getting a lot of feedback from people about really wanting to know about Saturn and Pluto, especially the outer planets and everything, that sort of thing. And you can donate to the channel as well. If you're inclined, donate to me, Venmo. You could just look up at Astroscoop. I think it's capital A, capital S. And I also have PayPal. I could send you the link. And donations are greatly appreciated. Any amount. It's not about the amount of money. It's just about the thought, positive thoughts, positive intentions. That's all that matters. But Capricorn is, especially this true period going up to the second or third, this is heavy. Karen Carr says, thanks for sharing about a sign that's not easy for me to relate to. Thank you, Karen, and thank you for being honest. That's great. Well, you know, it's interesting. Some of my family members know that when I was young, I have to admit, I was very anti-Capricorn when I was in my teens and early 20s. Now, what that tells me, as a more mature person now, I'm not perfect. I have my flaws, absolutely. But it's telling about me, very telling about me, when there's certain things that I clash with. And one thing I've realized about Capricorn, people that are strongly Capricorn with me in my chart, is that it's usually having to do with leading your own path. Just being, it doesn't mean dominating or over anyone else or ruling over anyone else. That would be more so like Leo. But Capricorn, the Capricorn energy doesn't give in easily. It doesn't give it. I'm not saying it should, but Capricorn doesn't give in easily. And sometimes I used to feel that Capricorn planets were not giving in just because they didn't want to give in. Like they were almost going out of their way to be difficult. And some people do feel like that. Capricorns are like that. The Capricorns are brooding and stubborn, and they just don't want to comply. Like they don't know how to comply. That can be true. It's hard for Capricorn to bend. You know, Capricorn is not flexible. Saturn is not flexible. The goat is climbing on its own path. So I really think that's a big dynamic, especially with people like towards me. You know, I like to lead my own path. It doesn't mean that I'm judgmental of anyone else's, but I need to have a strong decision in my path. And so does Capricorn. So anyone that feels like that, anyone that has that strong, you know, cardinal energy, of course, you're going to clash with other people, especially of the same sex. It's usually the same sex that you will clash with, just because there's a similar, you know, it's friction. There's similar energies there, even though it's different. And I think one thing that Capricorns can be hard to relate to is what I said in the very beginning. Capricorns need you to wait, and not everyone can wait on Capricorn's time. Capricorn is a sign of time. Everything is time with Capricorn. I think I said last week, if you want to understand Capricorn people or understand Capricorn planets, talk to them about time. Because if you are too fast with them or too slow, they miss the mark with you. And they want you to earn things. They want you to earn their respect. But what sometimes Capricorn fails in is they need to earn yours as well. So it's a two-way street. Just because you're Capricorn doesn't mean you just command respect. So some, like a Mars and Capricorn person, that could be a very tough person to relate to in an interpersonal relationship, because it's a very commanding, powerful Mars energy. And it's the type of thing where it's, you know, Capricorn would have to have something else in the chart, either a sextile or a trine, to soften things up so that everything isn't their way or the highway, that sort of thing. But Capricorn works with age and it works with time. So that's part of the reason why when I was young, I was immature, they were immature. So you're going to clash with different energies of different people at different times of your life, because we're all at different frequencies. And then, of course, we are we can see more of the value. It's just, Capricorn is a very rich energy. It's a very real. Capricorn is like strong coffee, and you some people like that and some people don't. But Capricorn is strong, and Capricorn's lesson, the Saturn lesson, is to give, because Saturn does not naturally give. Saturn produces, Saturn works, Saturn tasks, Saturn masters and rules. That's Saturn. And that's a little dry. It's a little cold sometimes. Life can't always be about, let me get that next promotion, let me make more money, let me get a better name on title on my door. That's very important to Capricorn. Status, power, those things are very Capricornian, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's probably the number one lesson with any major Saturn, is to give. And if Capricorn's been hurt, if the Capricorn planets have been betrayed or hurt in their life, it's going to be very, very hard. They're one of those signs that's not going to be as resilient or bounce back very easily to if they've waited with someone so long and then it still wasn't safe and secure and solid. It's going to be hard for that Capricorn planet to regain that trust or try again. And that also goes with planets, like I said, planets in the 10th house as well. There's definitely a seriousness. I know a lot of people with planets in the 10th that are not Capricorn signs. They're other signs, but they're in the 10th, but they take on a seriousness in their life. And Capricorn in 10th house, it's every every chart I look at, you're looking at community involvement, volunteering, structure. They love to structure anything, groups, anything outside of their house. They have to do it. It's either like helping animals, and this goes right into Aquarius and Pisces too. But 10th house in Capricorn it's like this burning need to organize and structure things outside of yourself. So anyone with a Capricorn planet will know what I'm talking about, right? Because inside you have a burning, I would imagine, I don't have it, but you have a burning need. I want to contribute. I want to correct. I want to refine, and I want to be efficient. That's Capricorn. And that's, to me, I wouldn't think that would be easy to live with as a Capricorn or as a person with a major Capricorn. I don't think that would be easy, because how do you shut that off? Sometimes in life you can't always be striving for something, this is, sometimes it's okay to be lazy, but lazy is not, that's not in Capricorn's dictionary. Lazy, it's not natural for Capricorn to be lazy. So obviously you can be too lazy and you can work too hard, but Capricorn, that lesson of giving, bending and trying to be flexible, that's a major thing for Capricorn sun, moon, even rising, because it's even a rising Capricorn person, Saturn is ruling their chart. So Saturn's ruling their chart in another sign. And Capricorn risings can be, they get better with age, as do most Capricorn planets. Again, time works for Capricorn. So that's what we'll be talking about this whole Capricorn season, is time, because Capricorn works with time. I talked to an older Capricorn woman a couple weeks ago. She said my birthday's on January 11th, so she's not the first decade. But she said, I have differences with people, but I just hang in there and I just keep going. And she just had this kind of quiet, dogged kind of attitude. So that's Capricorn. That's the goat. Just keeps moving. And whether that burns the Capricorn person out, or whether that's workaholic or not, it depends on the situation, because there are times where you want to feverishly achieve something, maybe in a short period, and you want to do that. But yeah, so that's Capricorn 1. It's the December 26th to the January 2nd or 3rd. So this is all Saturn period. So Capricorn's born this week. You're getting your Saturn return, or your solar return. I'm sorry, your solar return. So that should help energize Capricorn planets, early Capricorn planets, and it also activates the transiting Saturn in Pisces. So, but this is, January will be a little bit of a heavy month, just energetically, because the Mars is retrograde. We have all this Capricorn. We have the Aquarius energy, which is kind of co-ruled by Saturn. There's a little Saturn influence. And then all we have after tonight, after the moon moves into Capricorn, from Sag to Cap, we have Mercury just in Sag, and no major Aries. And then the air signs are very low key. No Libra, and just that Jupiter retrograde again in Gemini. So the air sign energy is very kind of halted and low key. So it's going to feel heavy probably for most people. And also it depends on where Capricorn is transiting in your natal chart. That's another thing. For a Capricorn person, for a Capricorn rising person, if someone has Capricorn rising in their birth chart, it's going to be the 1st or the 12th. It would be the 12th house, which is the Pisces house, or the 1st house. Okay, I think I lost my chat. Did we lose our chat? Oh, that's weird. Huh, that was strange. It was some kind of glitch. I don't know. I guess it's still going. Yeah. All right. So I guess that's about it for Capricorn. And next week we'll talk about Capricorn-2. And if you have any comments about future live streams, because I think for the new year I'm going to try to change up maybe one live stream a month. We'll talk about just maybe celebrity examples and just the transits. So instead of just going through the period of the sign, maybe we'll do a little bit of that and then do about 75% of transits and get more into that, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. And that's really very interesting. And I kind of want to think about maybe what some of the other countries besides the U.S. might want to hear about as well. And from an American perspective. Kind of thing, a Western astrology, American perspective, especially India, Algeria, Philippines, Indonesia, and Iraq. Those are my top 5 non-U.S. countries, which is wonderful. But thank you so much. I hope everyone had a good holiday. And this is the last live stream of the new year. So next week, it will be 2025. Wow. So happy New Year to everybody. And again, I really appreciate the support and the views. Even viewing 5 or 10 minutes, I really, really appreciate it. And we're just going to keep going for the new year. We're going to grow slowly or fast. It doesn't matter, as long as we're growing and as long as we're moving. And maybe I can tap into my part of fortune in Capricorn for the new year. That would be good. I'm going to meditate on my part, my POF in Capricorn, since I don't have any major Capricorn. So happy birthday to all the Capricorn people. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. Be well.